Jarrod, why have India only won one white ball ICC event since 2011? They won the World Cup on home soil. They won the Champions Trophy in England in 2013.
Yep.
And they haven't won anything since. So 10 years now.
Not just white ball, they've also lost 2 World Test Championship finals.
Well, you could say that.
I think if you look at their one-day cricket and you look at what the two dominant one-day forces since that period have been West Indies and England, right? West Indies and England are about maximising their balls, right? And attacking and being willing to fail. Look at India's team. Most of their bowlers are defensive bowlers. They don't get a lot of wickets, so they don't put pressure on teams like the West Indies and England, and Australia is probably right up there as well. They don't put that kind of pressure on those teams because they don't take enough wickets. And then their batters all bat within themselves all the time, right? I talk about this thing called the Evan Gulbis effect in T20 cricket, which is I coined from a random big bash player when if you don't have someone batting at number 7 who batters trust, batters automatically bat more defensively at the top. And India have been really honest with this a few times ago. We're looking at that batting order and we think if our top 3 don't make runs, we're not going to make a lot of runs. So we're going to all become anchors. We're all going to bat within ourselves. That's great. And then you see that last World Cup semi-final there against England, and England went, great. You guys make 170, 180. Awesome. We'll chase it down in a few overs. We're not terrified of that at all. You're terrified of failure. We're just going to go out there. We may fail, we may not, but we think we can do that. So one-day cricket has changed. And you look at Australia as well. You know, Australia, with guys like Head and Marsh and, Fraggle McGurk, whenever he gets into it, these guys are just playing with no fear anymore. And that's what's changed Australian limited overs cricket as well, because Australia was playing like India. India can't do it. They came to that last World Cup in Australia and they said, we're going to smash everything. We're going to really, really attack. And Rohit Sharma took one look at the wickets and went, guys, we better bat within ourselves here. Exactly the same thing. Look at their World Cup squad for this tour. They picked safe players. They've picked the safe squad again, and that is what India keep doing. I think you have to take wickets in white ball cricket now because these guys are too good at whacking. If you don't get Fraser McGurk out in an IPL game, he's going to beat you on his own. If you don't get Heinrich Klaasen out in a game, he's going to beat you. Sky, all this, they're way too good now. You cannot let these guys stay in. You have to attack them, right? And India generally haven't been doing that, and I think the game has moved on. They have the players that can do this. I mean, have you seen Abhishek Sharma in the IPL? He's got a strike rate of over 2 runs a ball. He's not in their T20 World Cup squad though, is he? Right? He's making runs and he's doing it quickly, and they're going, no, we're going to go with Rohit and Virat again, and we're going to go, and Sanju Samson. And we all know these are quality players. No one's having a go at the quality, but has the game moved beyond them? And what Virat and Rohit keep saying is, we will be more attacking, we'll be more attacking. They've been saying that for quite a few years now. England revolutionised ODI cricket in 2015. West Indies revolutionised T20 cricket in 2012. I don't think India has ever been at the curve when it comes to attacking with bat and with ball as either of those sides have. And because of that, they're always just a little bit too far behind.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Just say quite a predictable team. The shackles are not off. Sehwag, that sort of player, just take on. And I would think that opposition who accept the quality, yeah, they're good players these, they ain't taking a risk with bat or ball. And so you would think of them as, yeah, they'll have the moments, but they wouldn't be really threatening. You've got to. It's not fear of failure that you've got to have that, and back yourselves is the bus term. We'll back ourselves to just keep going and going and going. Whereas an old stager like me would see, 30 for 3, crikey, we're going to be 80 all out. No, we'll get 200 from 30 for 3 because we've got the ammunition, we've got the tools to do it. So your selection, as you say, there's somebody has selected that T20. The question then is, have you got the right players? No, you haven't.
And the fear of failure thing that he talked about, you talk to anyone in that Indian camp and they will say that if it gets to the World Cup and these players are terrified of failing again. So it's now becoming compounding. Like, you know, they failed in 2015, they failed in 2014, right? They failed in 2016, and it's getting more and more, and they don't know what to do. These players are absolutely terrified. And you've got to remember that we all say Indian players are always under pressure, right? There's playing a bilateral series against Australia when cricket fans are watching, and there's a World Cup game where everyone in India is aware of the score. The pressure goes from really high already to a level that no other athletes in the world have ever had to deal with, right? It's Brazilian football team times 5, right? Like, it's ridiculous the amount of pressure that these guys are under every time they're out there. And all of these losses are now just playing on their psyche. And so what they really need is someone like Rahul Dravid just go, guys, let's just whack them. Let's just go out there and whack them and attack the stumps and take as many wickets as we can. And if we fail, at least we gave it a go. Whereas you watch them in these World Cups and you could see it the minute Pat Cummins started bowling with that defensive field against them, you could just see them go, ooh, I don't want to be the guy that goes out playing against this. And Australia were just like, and you know what Australians are like, they're just like, great, well, we're not expected to win this, so we're going to throw everything at it, and you guys are going to do the opposite. And look at Travis Head in that World Cup final compared to all the Indian batters. Is Travis Head better than those players? I don't think so. But Travis Head plays like someone who's playing with found money, right? He just swings his bat. Some of his shots are ridiculous. We know he's talented, but he's free. I can't remember the last time I saw an Indian player look free at a World Cup.
It reminds me of being an England football fan. If you've ever gone through one penalty shootout, you know that the memories, the spectre of that is from Chris Waddle through Gareth Southgate through Harry Kane. It's just part of us. Yeah. But similarly, winning them is part of you as well, and that's, I think, where Australia come in. They just have they have the muscle memory of winning these games, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes down to it, I can give you many technical reasons why South Africa and India struggle at major tournaments, and I think I'm probably right. But also, if Brendan McCullum were to come into one of those teams and just be like, I've got cigars and champagne here, guys, go out and whack him, would that also help? Undoubtedly.
Can we talk about England? Would you say that England are the biggest underachievers in world cricket ever?
Yes.
And why?
I think if you look at post-World War II...
We're allowed to do that on this show.
So obviously, before World War II, England were dominant. That's fine.
When there were 3 teams.
Yeah, when there weren't many teams.
If you take Australia out of the equation.
Yeah, and from that point onwards, considering that England had professional cricket before anyone else, I know it wasn't completely professional, and he was off, fixing lorries in his part-time and putting sacks of flour in his head. These are the jobs I make up that Bumble did.
It's nearly. Yeah.
But they were professional, whereas that wasn't the case in other places. Like New Zealand didn't have any professional. John Reid came to play a test series in England when he was New Zealand captain, and he was practicing on concrete pitches with kids bowling to him, right? It's not the same as having a county professional bowling to you in the nets beforehand, is it? You factor in the love of the game, the strength of the game, especially county game, and professionalism, and the Northern Leagues as well, and you look at them and you go, well, how has the West Indies managed to do what it managed to do for a long period of time? How is Australia with a much smaller population? And we do know weather and all these other things play a part, but I would say that with everything that English has, there are schools in Millfield and these sorts of schools have better facilities than the Bangladesh first-class cricketers have, right? And yet, Bangladesh is coming up and is getting more and more, good cricketers, and England haven't got to the level of dominance that they should have. But I would say in the last 4 or 5 years, they are maybe starting to toy with that level that they should have been at for probably the last 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, all the facilities. Biggest problem I would suggest is weather.
Yeah.
It's a very short cricket season. It's not the major sport. Football is the major sport. We compete with rugby and golf and plenty of other. It was seen England as a pastime rather than a sport, a recreational get-together, and we've got more.
Is that still the case now, or do you think professionalism?
No, I think
we get
more professional at the higher levels, and Premier Leagues have really helped. But again, there's evidence in league and club cricket that, I can't devote the weekend. I've got family, I've got to do this. I don't mind a game of cricket, it's a bit of fun. And so, toughness has not always been there. It's been seen as quintessentially English, as a lovely little pastime on the village green. And we've got more and more professional, I would say since 2000, when central contracts came in. We're getting there slowly.
Just from an international point of view, so cricket isn't the biggest sport in Australia either.
No, that's
or South Africa or New Zealand.
It's only India where.
Asia.
Asia, yeah.
But if you look at it, and you know, I've now travelled the entire cricket world, and I've played cricket in a few different places as well. In Australia, and we talked about this when we were talking about the Australian team on a previous one, your club cricket is your first step towards playing for the international team, right? And so it goes all the way up. Having played a lot of cricket in England, there's almost no connection between that. There's like a bunch of guys who like to play cricket, and they quite often have no idea who's playing for the England team. They don't follow county cricket at all. You know, they're just like turning up maybe 6 or 7 games of the year. And that's not the case in South Africa and Australia and New Zealand, right? So those cricket cultures are different than England. And then you've got the Asian cricket culture, where people don't play cricket as much in Asia, organised cricket. They play a lot of street cricket and beach cricket and those sorts of things, but they don't play a lot of organised cricket. But cricket is so ingrained in you know, the subcontinental culture that it's part of it. I almost feel that even in England, that cricket is separated into, you know, people who take hampers on the weekend to go and do something, and the professional game are completely different. So I think even within the cricket culture in the UK, it's done. And Bumble talked about the weather. You could argue that in the UK, you have almost 2 different cricket seasons in one. You have the one where it's way too cold to play and the wickets are too damp, and then you have that 2 months of summer where it's incredible and you can play till 9 o'clock at night, and you know, so there just seems everything is split, and it always has been. Like professionals and amateurs.
Our weather is a major problem in being the very best.
Definitely.
You know, I saw a picture of a chap in a duvet watching the cricket last week. They must be crackers.
Do you know what I love is in Australia and New Zealand and a little bit in South Africa, we play on synthetic wickets, right? And you come over to England and everyone's like, oh, I couldn't possibly play on a synthetic wicket. That's not proper cricket. It's like, Ricky Ponting grew up on synthetic pitches. Just put a pitch in. And the other thing is, Australia, New Zealand and South Africa, they all play indoor cricket during the winter. Yeah. Where are all the indoor cricket centres here? This is the country where you should have them.
It is minority here. Everything, football rules. Sure. Football rules in the UK.
Aussie rules football's pretty big in Melbourne and
Adelaide. My recollection of going to Australia is that cricket is a very major part of life.
For 2 months.
Yeah.
But those 2 months are huge in Australia. And I think New Zealand's the same, and South Africa's got about a month, right? But I don't think you ever get a period here where cricket becomes the biggest sport for any period of time, whereas I think in those other countries you do get it a little bit.
There was a game at Old Trafford a few weeks ago, in April, mid-April, and there was, so the 2 Old Traffords, there's Emirates Old Trafford is the cricket, and then there's the Old Trafford football stadium. On the same day, there's 100 people at the cricket, 100, and 78,000 100 yards away. 78,000 are watching Man United, who have been shocking, by the way, all season, shocking. There's 78,000 turn up, and there's 100 at the cricket match. Well, it's in mid-April, and it's not. It'd be 5 degrees.
Maybe people couldn't take their duvets.
Well, I couldn't believe this bloke in a duvet watching cricket. I'd be certified, surely.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.